Hi, my name is Claudia Rinaldi, and I'm here to talk about multi-tier systems of support. And today we'll look at what is an MTSS Tier 2 and Tier 3 intervention. So let's read the definition for right now. An intervention in MTSS is defined as instruction that supplements and intensifies grade level learning in any of the academic areas that a student needs. That includes literacy, and that could be broken into reading and writing or both, math, sociocultural and behavioral learning, ESL, and or in the home language. And these are all subject areas that the teams of the school MTSS have to look at to identify where the child needs additional supports. For Tier 2, the goal is to have intervention 3 times per week for about 20 minutes based on research, and that it addresses that supplements and intensifies grade level learning. For an intervention to be defined as an intervention in MTSS, there are 4 criteria that we need to make sure that we are including. One is evidence-based responsive instruction unique to the student's needs. This is very important because if the instruction is not responsive to the unique needs of the student in whichever area discussed above, then the student may not benefit from that intervention time. So, for example, if we're talking about students who are learning English, we want to look at what is the best support with ESL or bilingual education. That intervention needs to be delivered. For monolingual students, we need to do the same. Another example is creating a criteria for success at the instructional level. So MTSS recognizes that students could be just below, or what we consider needing a Tier 2 intervention, but they could also be significantly below, which means that they would be needing a Tier 2 and a Tier 3 intervention. So developing a criteria for success at instructional level for those students being the furthest behind or needing the most intensive Tier 2 and Tier 3 intervention, it's really critical. We want to see their instructional growth goal meet the grade level learning goal. All interventions have to be planned for 4 to 6 weeks of implementation. And it's really critical that it's 4 to 6 weeks so that we could review based on data whether there was progress. There are tools that allow you to measure very sensitive growth in those 4 to 6 weeks, and it is important for us to do that. Otherwise, they may continue to receive an intervention that does not work for them. And this happens in schools when we get volunteers that come in for a whole year and we don't know whether this works or not. So it's critical that you create a 4 to 6 week plan for implementation, identify how many sessions, how much time each session, who's delivering the intervention, and what is the criteria for the successful response to instruction. The next aspect of an intervention is criteria for successful response towards grade level. So we want to be measuring both instructional level and grade level so that we know the student is making gains towards both. And last is selection of an assessment to monitor progress. This is probably the most important part because we need to show that whatever intervention you're trying is actually working. And if not, we need to change it after the 4 to 6 weeks. It is really critical that we think about what assessments, and there are many out there in multiple languages that can help us monitor that progress. And students receiving Tier 2 must be monitored monthly, and students receiving Tier 2 and Tier 3 are monitored weekly. So by the time 4 to 6 weeks come, there's enough data to tell us whether the student is making progress, again, towards instructional and ultimately grade level. I hope this clarifies for you what is an MTSS Tier 2 and Tier 3 intervention.